This is a snippet of a recording of me training high-ticket closers on how to handle vague prospects and how to deal with competitor objections. How can you pre-handle it up top, and how do you handle it? What do you say if it does come up? My name is Brian Choi. I made $228,000 in my first full year in sales. I became the #2 closer at 7th level. Enjoy.
What's the best way of dealing with these vague prospects?
So the first thing you do is you clarify. So depending on what the context is, if you're asking, do you know what you're looking for when it comes to XYZ? And they're saying something like, I just want to see what's out there. Yeah, just want to get more info. Oh, cool. What kind of outcome are you hoping to get out of the info?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I got a prospect today, and I was basically just like, it was good to meet you. What was it about solar that attracted your attention? She was like, nothing much. And I'm just like, well, it was very hard to kind of...
Yeah, I don't like that question as the first question because you tend to get like vague things like that. So I don't like to use that question as the first question. I like to use like, do you know what you're looking for when it comes to XYZ? And the XYZ, if you're doing solar, they don't care about the solar panels. What do they care about? They care about lowering their electricity bills, saving more money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I was someone that I'll say something like, do you know what you're looking for when it comes to lowering your rates? You're looking for from solar? Probably use a second one. Test different ones. But the answer you want is like, save more money. Right. So that's more than enough. Yeah. And after that, you go into, oh, cool. What are you doing at the moment to save your electricity bills now or lower your bills now? And then they'll be like, I'm doing this. How long have you been doing that? Is it working? Yes, no, and then you go into the whole decision tree.
No, it was pretty hard to go from there. And then as I was continuing the sales call, it was just giving me vague answer after vague answer.
What were they saying in terms of the vague answers?
Oh, they just weren't giving me a direct answer, and then they were just like wanting to get to the price of everything and wanting to get to the point, and didn't like the questions that I was challenging the questions, like, why would you ask something like that? I'm like, oh, well, just, help me understand your situation a bit more. And that would, the call didn't go that well.
Quickly role play that.
If you want.
Who will be a salesperson who wants to be Roost prospects. So you are a person living in Australia, want to lower your electricity bills. Let's go.
Great to meet you, man. I'm just curious if that affected your attention.
If I wanted to be honest, but it just sounded interesting just due to the fact that it's boiling hot all the time, so maybe I can save a bit of money on energy bills, but I'm not sure really.
Okay, and then that's where I lost a lot of momentum from that first question.
What do you do when they give you an answer like that? How do you respond usually?
I go, well, is it the high energy bills? Is it the rates going up? Would you mind just helping me understand that a bit more?
Yeah, so you don't want to like shove answers down their throat, because what's going to happen is they're going to be like, that's not that. They're going to like start pushing back if you ask her like that. Is it this or is it that? So if he gave you some material to work with, right? So it says something like the electricity bills, like the lowering your electricity bills or something like that, right? So he's like, oh, just lowering my electricity bills. Oh, cool. What are you doing to lower your electricity bills now?
Yeah.
So he was being a bit vague in the beginning, but he gave you something to work with.
Okay. So just use anything that they give you to work with?
Yeah, exactly. Because if you go and go to the skill set section in school, the classroom, and then go to the question section, because you first got to know what answers you're looking for. Okay, it's not a rigid thing, but it's a framework. It's like, what kind of answers do I need to get from this part of the conversation, right? So the first part we just went over is the first bit, which is the overarching desired outcome in the beginning. All we're trying to do. We don't need to know how much they want to save in terms of electricity bills. We don't need to know what their life will look differently. We don't need to find the problem. We just got to find what is the thing that you want. It's kind of like when you go to the airport people don't need to know what Airbnb or hotel you're going to stay at, but they do need to know what city you're going to, right? So they can drop you off. So can you see me okay? Or whatever the thing is, right? They'll be like, yes, cool. Well, looks like you booked on the calendar, but possibly getting something like solar to lower your electricity bills. Is that right? They'll be like, yeah. Okay, cool. So then do you know what you're looking for when it comes to what you want out of solar? And then he said, okay, cool. Lower my electricity bills. More than enough. Yeah. Tangible outcome. Then what do? You go into the current situation. In the current situation, what are you doing to insert the outcome they just told you now? What are you doing to lower your electricity bills now? They said, I'm doing this. And then you take the conversation from there. Make sense?
I definitely need to wrap my head around the framework and the questions and everything.
Yeah, really go through and study this, man, and understand what am I trying to do. If you don't understand, you can post in the community or hop on the calls and just ask about it. But that's why a lot of people don't see the success they want to see, even though they have a script, is that they don't get the answers they need to get because they don't understand what they're trying to do. So that's the most important part. And don't get flustered, man, because if it says something, you're like, I don't know what to do. The moment you do that, you're done. Yeah. So number one is Kobe Bryant said this, and I really love Kobe Bryant because people ask him, hey, when you're doing those game-winning shots, the clock's ticking down, the championship's on the stake, did you not feel nervous? And Kobe's like, no, because I've taken the shot 1,000 times, and I know what I'm trying to do there. So it's just 1,001. It's just that people are around. So confidence comes from the pre-work. So during your selling hours, you go sell, you do your activity, outbound follow-ups, things like that. Outside of your selling hours, that's when we do the extra work. It's not sexy, I know, it's a work outside of work. But if you look at any professional athlete, professional actors that are just top of their game, they're not just during working. They're doing the studying and the working outside of working, right? So depending on what your goals are, if your goals are to do better, really become the best, and this is what is required. I always start with a sexy way, but there isn't. So you go through this, and even if there's an unexpected situation during a sales interaction, you play it off as if it's not a big deal. It's like, what do I got to do? I go here.
I messaged you about the objection that I got. I don't know how you kind of would have gone about it because I was a little bit limited for time as well.
Yeah.
But the objection one was, and I've had it a few times. It's not like a common one, but they had a call with one of our competitors literally that week. So and that happens sometimes because a lot of people like to window shop. There's other people who do what we do in the space, and they like to kind of look about, see who they think is best. But he said I've got a call with them tomorrow. I'm definitely not making a decision today. Said all that blah blah blah. At this rate, I'm definitely going to go with you guys. But obviously, I just want to weigh out my options. And the way I kind of tackled it was I got a bit more clarity. What was he looking to find? With who he went ahead with, got him to buy in, oh yeah, no, I definitely believe that you guys can help me with that. You can help me get to 10K a month so I can X, Y, Z. And then I just hit him with oh, well, let's just do it. Let's just do it. But he was like, no, like I said before, I'm definitely not making a decision. And then I was at the brink of I didn't want to be too pushy because then it's going to definitely be going on a call with them. He's going to go with the one who's probably not as pushy. So I don't know how you
depending on the offer or the context, some people like to do it a different way. Some people like to once they find out they have another call, they like to just reschedule and then they want to be the last one to go. I tried that. My last offer, for example, I never did it because quite frankly, I really believed in the last offer I was selling. And so I truly believe that all the other offers are shit compared to what we're doing. I know that it's a sales guy thing. It's strong belief in product, yada, yada, yada. But I genuinely believed it. I was selling for a sales training and then they're talking about this one sales training that was invented in the 40s. I'm like, there's 2024. What are you doing? I literally say shit like that. And so I literally help them realize. So you can pre-handle it and handle it, right? So during the solution, have you asked hey, before you start talking to me, were they looking for ways to, or what have you been doing? Have you asked that?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's when they brought it up. They're like, yeah, I got another call.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it helps, especially if you know the other competitors in your space are shit, right? So you've asked them, what do you look at?
But you have a shit ton of social proof.
Yeah, that's fine, right? But how I used to do is I start to see doubt, for example. So if they say I was selling sales training, then they'll say yeah, like an old school sales tactic. I'd be like, do you know when the methodology was created? They're like, no, it was invented in like the 40s or 70s. They're like, yeah. But could it be possible that since then, buyer behavior has changed because of the internet? Because it's been more than 50 years? They'd be like, yeah. So what happens if you use old school sales tactic to people who have access to internet more information than back then? They're like, I don't know. Well, could it be possible that they're not going to buy into old school sales tactic because they have so much information now? They're like, yeah. So what would that do to your sales numbers? They'll be like, it wouldn't work well. So you can prevent it that way. So it's like, are you aware XYZ? So the other competitor, for example, so you got to understand what differentiates your offer compared to your competitors though? Like why is yours so much better than the other ones?
Because like with their one, like you are literally just another number. Like they're a lot bigger, they're way more social proof, but like you don't have any contact with the owner. You literally just get lost in the weeds.
Yeah. So you don't want to like straight up like just badmouth them. But what you can, and depending on the offer too, I could, depending on like the demographic, because if it's like younger people, you can be more direct, right? But with those people, it's like, oh, those guys are great. Are you aware how many customers they have? They're like, no. Oh, they have X amount, just so you're aware. They're about like 5,000. So what do you feel happens when you actually go into their program and you're just 1 out of 5,000? They'd be like, I don't know. Well, typically what happens is that you just become a number and you have a question and you can get it answered. And what happens if you're stuck on something and you can get it solved? They'd be like, I'll be stuck, right? So what do you feel that does to your commissions and your results? They're like, I wouldn't. Right. And so, I mean, it depends on what you want, right? If it's something that is just like a big name brand, I'll definitely recommend going with something like that. But if your goal is to actually get the attention that you want, then what do you feel like you need to do? So you can start to pre-handle it, right? But the thing is, it goes both ways. Because let's say you sell for a big business and you have a lot of customers, you can do it. Hormozi talked about this too. Everything's an advantage if you use it, right? So it's like if they're saying like, yeah, like these guys are smaller, they do one-on-one things that, those guys are great. Do you know when they started training people? They're like, no, well, they started about like 3 months ago. And so, if that's what you want, that's great. If you just want like attention from the coaches, but like if you're to, let's say, have a surgery, who'd you rather go with? A surgeon that has 10 years of experience or a surgeon that has like 3 months of experience? They'd be like 10 years of experience, right? So you can start to seed it. Make sense so far?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so whenever they gave me like a competitor objection, like I just never bought into that because I'm like, dude, those guys I genuinely believe those guys are so shit. It's like, dude, you're if you go with that. It's not like something I was trying to fake myself doing. I genuinely believed it. I'm like, dude, I'll literally like say like this, like, dude, do you have any idea? Like, do you know how they sell? They sell like this, right? All jazzed up. Do you like customers like that? They're like, no, right? So they're like, oh, okay. They started to see that, so that prevented a lot of those. Let's say if it does come up, okay? Now we go into the handling thing. First, you go through. Have you gone through like the logistical and like gone through the decision tree?
Yeah, with that one, yeah.
Yeah, so you want to go through all that, right? Logistical, you tie it off. Money works, value works. All right, perfect. Money side, you feel like this could help you get where you want to go. Great. Payment plan works. If they say like, yeah, dude, I just want to see like what they have. Okay. So if the value is really, how I see competitive objections is either fear or value. That's how I categorize this. Because the thing is, if the money works and they feel like this could help them get to where they want to go, then now they just want to make like, they're kind of fearful of making the decision right away. There's kind of like delay of decision, kind of like a think about objection. Is it that or is it the genuine value, right? They don't see the value in it. So you got to isolate that part. So, what were you hoping to see from that other call? Yeah, I just want to see like whatever they say, right? Which one's better or like that. Okay, so suppose that, price point is pretty much similar. They'll work within your budgetary constraints and both of you feel like this could help them, help you get to where you want to go. How would you be able to decide which one to go from at that point? And from there, usually you get an answer and whatever the thing is, you want to tackle that. Okay. Or whatever I feel like, I just want to make sure that something works. Okay, so let's talk about that then, right? So between me and you, like, just man to man, like what's actually holding you back, right? So you go into that and then you got to find out the real concern. Typically, some people like to book the call like after that. I just don't. I had so much conviction in my last offer that like I just never did it. Even when I was selling the other offers like BizUp, I never did it. So I just like stay in. I'm not going like super pushy and aggressive. But if I gotten those objections before and they say like 10 minutes into the call, yeah, I have calls with like other thing before. But I get them so buy-in into like getting outside their comfort zone and actually getting the decision, which was what we go over. And by the end of the call, they're like, they either go for it, they don't bring it up, or if they do bring it up, it's like quite easy to kind of handle at that point. Does that make sense?
Yeah, got you.
Yeah. So you go into that. Like the first thing I'll do is like, okay, dude, if you feel like this could help you get to where you need to go and the money does work, I mean, those guys are pretty busy anyway. You know? So instead of booking an hour on their calendar, why not let's just do it? That's the first thing, kind of like you said. After that, you go into fear, value, whatever the thing is, you need to tackle that, right? And if they typically say like, yeah, I just don't know, man, like, I don't know, like, I think this is missing, or like now you go into that, you handle that, right? And if they go into like, I still want to talk to the other people, then typically I go into like either like a fear or like comfort zone frames, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, you know, you can have like 5 of these calls, but how do you know if something works or not for you? Well, I actually got to do it. Right. So if the only way to find out is actually do it anyway, how much longer are you willing to waste and just let it get away until you actually take the first step? I get that it's scary, man, but how much longer?
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. With people who are like, before you even get into it, like, I'm definitely not making a decision. Like I said before the call, I'm not making a decision until I've spoken to both. And then I've gone for like that frame there, but then they still said it again. Like, how would you handle that? Because I was like, I didn't want to then piss his prospect off.
I get it, but I mean, it comes from your own testing and your own data, depending on the offer too. But when I did the data myself, whenever I let them go and talk to the other people, I really got a call back and really turned it into a follow-up sale. So, and same thing with like partner objections. It depends, right? When I was doing BizOp, I got some sales from like follow-up calls, like getting both partners on board and things like that. But the last offer I was selling, it was dude, when they say they want to go talk to their partner, I let them go talk to their partner. I think I got like 1 sale out of that when I maybe 1 or 2 out of like dozens, right? As opposed to if I just sat there. So I'm like, well, if I'm gonna like 90% chance I'm gonna lose that sale anyway, even if I piss this person off, I'd be better off just like fucking staying in there and just handling it. You know what I mean? So it's like either way, if you're gonna lose it, I'd rather lose less than more. So you can do your own data, which is why you have the tracker. Again, depending on the offer, typically, I just like to stay in there and just handle it until time runs out. And then after that, if you run out of time, it's like, hey, dude, I do apologize for not being able to help you. I feel like, you know, we both agree that changes need to be made. But yeah, man, so when do you have that call with the other person? Okay, great. So if you want, what we can do, we can stay in touch. I can send you some more material for you to go through. Obviously, it's not as in-depth, but I'll give you some ideas on how to get started, how to get closing, so you get a better understanding. And we can have another chat after that call.
Yeah, right? That's how I framed it with like the resources material, and then we booked in another call for later today.
Yeah, so when you have that call, man, don't make a rash decision on the spots. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Oh, and also I also did this as well. I did a velvet rope technique I learned from Matt Ryder. So what I typically do is like, you have the call, and then let's say they're so adamant about like talking to the other company, and you feel like, fair enough. All right, dude, no problem, dude, totally get it. What we could do is this. I get to run to another appointment now, but if you want after that call, we can have another call the day after, like whatever, right after. And I can show you like, I guess like, lift up the velvet rope, show you behind a sneak peek of what the portal looks like, what the coaching calls look like. Would that help you? They'd be like, yeah. So now they have an incentive to actually show up. It's like, oh, let me have another call with them.
Got you.
So you save your ammo.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I found that if you do that, it increases the chances of actually like wanting to talk to you again. And then from there, you just become like persistent and just be the helpful, persistent guy. Send them material. So what that does, like, oh, these guys actually, they care. They're persistent. They're over delivering even before. So they stand out.
In the velvet rope strategy, are you to say the price before that, or
this is after like you pitch, you went through the deliverables, and then you try to objection handle. They're so adamant about talking to the other company, and you feel like it's fair enough, dude. Not a problem. Man. Totally get it. What we could do is this: I do have to run to another appointment. The reason why you say that is because if you don't mention it, can you just show me now? You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, we can have another appointment, and I can show you a sneak peek of You want to say it like that, right? Sneak peek of, some of our portal and some of our coaching calls. So you get a better idea. Would that help you? They'd be like, yeah, for sure.
What was your swipe rate for the second call if you do that?
So the second call, how you do is you want to still recap. So this is a principle for all, not all, but most of the cases, because what's going to happen is after the sales call and the follow-up call, on the sales call, you've spiked their emotions, right? The problem, the future-facing goals, the cost of inaction, their emotions go up, and then after the sales call, their emotions go down. So on this follow-up call, you don't want to repeat, go through the entire sales call because it's so repetitive, but you still want to recap, right? So usually about 2 to 3 sections of the sales interaction at a time. It's like, all right, Ru, can you see me? Cool, man. So I know we talked at the time. You got to remind me because I do have a memory of a goldfish sometimes, my girlfriend tells me. But if I remember, so you're looking to get into high ticket closing, make more money. You've been kind of, working as a bartender and just, you've been standing up for 16 hours a day, which is making you feel a bit exhausted. Is that right? They're like, yeah, that's right. Right. And what does it mean by exhausted again? So you want to kind of probe into those emotional parts. They're like, yeah, standing up for 16 hours a day is just tiring. Right. And then I think you want to get to 10K a month and, get out of the job and also retire our parents, which would make you feel pretty proud, right? Right. And then if you don't, you said, I think you'd just be stuck in a cubicle and that would make you feel miserable. Right. Okay, cool. So I do remember that. So if you want, I know we talked about the program, but just so you can get a visual idea, if you want, I can give you a sneak peek and kind of run you through that. They're like, da 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 da, right? And then it's you make that as your pitch, as if, right, from what you do in the first call, and then you run them through that. Yeah, man, same thing, get them buy-in, right? Do you feel like, this gives you a better idea? Do you feel like this could help you get to where I want to go? Yeah. All right, cool, man. So from our last chat from now, where do you want to go from here? And then either they move forward, they give you an objection, and you go into objection handling.
Cool.
Sweet. Yeah. Alex, does it help? You know what to do?
That definitely helps. Appreciate that.
Yeah, so just a follow up from Alex. So I used to, I still do I check if, regardless of our conversation, you're still going to speak to our competitors. And if they said, yeah, regardless of our conversation, I'm still going to speak, then I'll reschedule. And previously it'd work and I'd have loads of people that would be happy to reschedule, but I don't know if something's changed. Maybe I've changed my word and now people are pissed off that I'm wanting to reschedule and waste their time twice. But what happens if the competitors are, I know we offer a really good service, but also the value is pretty much the same, not necessarily the same, but people get a really good service somewhere else as well though.
Yeah, that's the issue. So with rescheduling, I tried that several times. I didn't like it because I'm if I were a prospect, I wouldn't like that either. Sounds like that's kind of fair enough. I mean, if it works, it works, right? At the end of the day, with everything we're going over, if it works, it works. We don't want to be romantic about what we do.
I got given the task to just speak to all the renewals. The founder asked who wanted it, and I took it because the lead flow was quite low at that time. But it's not a very smooth process, and the close rate on renewals is very, very low. Just due to the fact that most of the people wanting to renew are people that haven't actually implemented in the first year.
Yep.
So now they're broke still, so they can't actually afford the program.
Yeah. That happened to me too. So there's different reasons why people don't renew. That's one of them. So you first got to identify, okay, why is this happening, right? And if it's happening at such a consistent basis, then you want to talk to the delivery team. Hey, listen, I know some people aren't going to take action, but this is happening at such a consistent basis. That's what happened with my last offer, because I was trying to upsell and renew people, and then why are these people upselling and renewing? First, I thought it was my sales skills because that's the first instinct. I'm it's my responsibility. But then I talked to different people, the trainers in the company, and they're like, no, dude, you're doing fine. Something's off here. So I explored it. It's the delivery team is just there's so many customers coming into the door, these people aren't implementing it. It's going to happen in any coaching business, but especially more in that business at the time. So what I did was I brought it to the delivery team. I made a whole Loom video of hey, this is the issue, this is the issue, this is what's happening. All of us are losing money because of this. I sent it to them. At the time, CEO was a very good dude, so he just saw it, implemented it right away. He stayed up all night and just fixing shit. And then we fixed it, so I was able to get upsells and renewals. So you want to communicate with that first. Number two,
the wanting to take the renewals off the sales team and give it to the CSMs due to the fact that they have more touch points with the students throughout the year.
You take it, bro.
Yeah, I physically, I'd rather be taking normal calls because the renewals aren't actually, I get paid less for those, to be quite honest. And yeah, the conversation, we actually do a small VSL just to the renewals to say, this is, there is an investment to this call, because a lot of people come onto the call to complain about the fact that they've not implemented. Does that make sense? So like when we first introduced the renewal system, I'd have like 14 calls in a row where I closed none of them, and every single one of them was just like, oh, I'm still broke, I have plenty emergencies, and I never implemented anything. But yeah, so like, how would you even approach those? Because I still want
I smack them.
Yeah.
I smack them. It's like, hey man, it's been 90 days. So you're broke, you have the coaching calls, you have the information. Why haven't you gone through it? I haven't had the time. Oh, dude, hold on. Time out. How many hours a week are you working? 40 hours a week? Okay. So you're sleeping for 8 hours a day. What are you doing for the rest of the day?
My dad's in hospital.
Okay, I mean, that's fair enough, dude. Like, sorry to hear that. Aside from that, during the whole 90 days, you're saying you haven't had a single hour a day, 30 minutes a day.
Well, they get a 12-month membership.
Exactly, that's the issue, right? So, like, okay, if it's something like genuine, like, hey, listen, my father passed away, so sorry to hear that. What about the other times? And so, like, it just doesn't make sense, right? It's their fault, right? And so I'll usually say, like, dude, whose responsibility is it? Like, we all have the time. Okay, so do you commute? Yes. How long is the commute? 1 hour? What are you doing during the 1 hour? Are you listening to Central C? Or did you have time to actually go through the portal? Why were you not going to the coaching calls material, the pre-recorded videos? I
try and do something similar. I try and build the gap from where, like say, what was you specifically looking for when you first signed up? So, for example, some of these people have signed up 4 years ago when it was just a course, and now it's the mentorship, and now they're like, oh, and then they're still in the same position. And then I'm like, bro, if it's been 4 years, but they physically, you're getting people that could only afford the course then, that now can't afford like 3,800. So it's a weird framing of like, how do we actually help these people? Because it is a help thing. They need help.
Yeah.
But they're just.
So I'll literally say that, hey, bro, like 4 years ago, you're struggling with money. 4 years after, you're 4 years older now. 4 years of your life that you never get back. You're still in the exact same position. What are you doing? And how much longer are you willing to keep repeating the same behavior until you say enough is enough? How old are you now? They're like 28. Okay, 4 more years go by, you're 32. You still want to be broke?
Yeah. And how do you make that transition from? Well, actually, let me preface that question. So, obviously, you're talking about with do they only get 3 months of mentorship and then they have to renew?
So what happened was there was a 3K course, there was a 10 grand coaching program, and an 18K upsell backend, right?
Yeah,
so
okay.
10K was the flagship. That was the 3 months coaching and the course. Courses for like 12 months, coaching was for 3 months. After that, I'll just upsell them into the 18K. And then listen, I had the same situation where like people weren't implementing. And then from there, not implementing, I actually use it as an opportunity to either upsell or renew, right? So if they're getting results, you upsell them. If not, it's like, dude, it's been 3 months. Like, what are we actually going to do here? At that point, you can either upsell them right away or like hold them, you slap them, hold them accountable, and then you stay in touch with them to eventually upsell.
Okay. And it just feels like very messy just because there's so many people in the pipeline to how you actually keep hold of all those people in regards to their progression, how to, like, for example, I renewed someone last week, but they could only afford to do it quarterly. So essentially, that the biggest problem we run into is due to the fact that people cannot afford to renew. So we, instead of just pushing those aside, we did a quarterly renew, which is pointless for me, really. It's like $250 per quarter. It makes no fucking sense.
Yeah. And don't worry about that, right? If like the commission is like not worth it, it's like you don't have to worry about that. You can just hit your other pipelines, such as like your no sales or like your no shows, or like outbound to book calls into your own calendar and close them.
Yeah, why I'm bringing it up though, because I know there is potential there. It's just I don't know how to organize it, because there's like over 900 people in the school group, and we did release our 10K program, and we've only had about 22 people go from the 3,800 to the 20K. We're going to start releasing the 10K to the public audience, but there must be gold in the school group where there's more people that can actually afford to do it. So I wouldn't even know how to go about that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, school is pretty much like a Facebook group, because it's just slower, because right now not as many people are on school, like they don't check it as often as Facebook. I think eventually it will get to that point as like they grow. But what you want to do is you just want to farm it, right? So you want to be like, you want to get your face known. If you go to the activity session,
I know you mean, like you it's the post, right? The social selling.
That and this part, how to book calls from DMs. I would also use this, because essentially what you want to do is you want to get your face known a little bit. You don't want to overshadow the influencer, but you still want to get your face known a little bit. It's like, oh, like Joe, he's a helpful guy. So I was doing that with my last group, and then I'll just like, whenever someone had a question, I'd like comment below. And the thing is, you don't have to be an expert at like scaling agencies. You can just be the quote unquote accountability coach or community manager, being the helpful guy, being like, oh, dude, actually, is that the influencer name? Right? I made a video about that, made a training about that. You can go here, right? Or like, would you like me to send it to you? That's a good one, because and if you go to the video,
are you referring to the free group? Because I'm referring to the paid group.
Either way. If it's like a free group, you get into the front end. If it's like a paid group, either way, you can generate referrals, upsells, or renewals.
Yeah, because I'm just struggling to understand where people are at. Like, without speaking to 101 people, when I'm struggling to manage my calendar now. So, do you know what I mean?
You just want to have, because like, I know it can be overwhelming because you have like different lists you can hit. So what you do is, if you go to the no-show SOP, and you can make a copy of this, and then you can just organize these lists on what's going to be the best for you. And I just gave you like a default one, but every offer is different, like different levers you can pull, right? So it's like, the principle is that the number one is, if someone no-shows, you have an empty space in your calendar, you just want to bring sales calls that are booked next days or the same day later today to now, right? So you call them up, it's like, hey dude, my previous appointment wrapped up early, do you want to talk now? Bring them forward,
which
bring
I've
them
been
forward.
doing, which has worked.
Perfect.
The two times I've used it, so yeah.
Perfect, yeah. So after that, you have to do that. Let's say, they can't right now or whatever. Then you want to start with the people that are the most likely to buy in the quickest time period. That's going to give you the most amount of commissions. So my last offer for me, it was expiring clients, meaning that if it's a 90-day program, people who are in like day 60 to 70, that could upsell them into the next one. Because the thing with like upselling is that if you try to upsell on the first day, yeah, some hot buyers do that, or like day 10, but a lot of them are like, yeah, I just want to see how this program goes first, which is fair enough. They just drop like 4 grand.
It's a hard situation though, because the main element that people are running into is that they can, it's two buckets, right? People in one go to save to get the PIF discount, but then I'm speaking to a lot of people that are just so broke that they have to go on the payment plan, and they're in their mentality, they're like, okay, cool, so I'm gonna work my arse off to get clients so I can pay the second and the third installment. Does that make sense? So
no, that's fine. Like, you still want to make sure they finish like the first one, right? So yes, but the goal is, and I talked to the delivery team about it. If I were you, be like, hey, like, how can we get these people quick wins, like help them like more money, like so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Well, I make sure they implement it. Could they do an onboarding kickoff call? Could they do like an accountability session? Like whatever the thing is, right? Especially if it's high ticket, I'll do that. So make sure they execute it from what we can control, right? As a closer, is this, right? So not everyone's gonna upsell, like that's fine, right? But just by going through upsells, even if you don't have a perfect process, you'll get more upsells because what? You're actually doing it, right? So, and then you kind of refine your process. So like day 60 to 70, if it's a 90-day program, I found that those are the sweet spot because at that point, they've gone through enough of the portal, enough of the program. They'd be like, okay, I realized like these problems I didn't even know I had, and I've gone through enough of that. What's the next step? And also you want to seed the upsell. Okay, if you go to the upsell section, after the sales call, you start seeding the upsell. How to seed the upsell, right here. You want to start doing this. I started doing this, and I just listened to a Hormozy video today. I didn't even realize like he did it, but like he did that too. So what you want to do is like there's always a next step after that. So you're not really pitching the upsell right away, but you're letting them know like, this thing's here. It's kind of early for us to talk about that right now, but just so you know. Because now they have something to look forward to, right? So you do that. Expiring clients, those are good ones. And after that, expired clients, people already expired, okay? And then typically after that, I'll follow up my no sales. People who had the money, they're kind of on the fence. So if you give them a bit more nudge, they couldn't afford, right? So those people, and then working your way backwards.
Yeah, and then a question in regards to just acquiring a new offer. Basically, I've been on this offer for probably close to 18 months. At the beginning, it was like a 6K offer. I took it to about a 12K offer at its peak, and now it's like because of lead flow, just because of ad fatigue, really, and just organic traffic just going a little bit low. Like I'm now sat at like 2.5 on this offer, as well as my fitness offer, which is about 4K, which I just want a little bit more consistency, really, instead of this unpredictable roller coaster. So I've been applying for roles, but because I'm in this position of unpredictability, I don't want to leave one leaf before I have a firm grip of another. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I don't even know how to go about that, really, and actually finding something of value, because there's so much shit in the market. And I get on good calls. I don't think I'm very good at selling myself, even though.
That's our job, right?
Pardon?
That's our job, right? But the thing is, it's not even selling ourselves. It's just mainly, first you got to identify what's your ideal criteria in an offer, right? So for you, it's like, okay, more consistent lead flow, right? Obviously higher commissions and things like that. So the first step is you got to identify is OTEs are just bullshit, right? It's like OTE 120K, like what does that matter? What is a top guy making? Right, so you want to identify, if you already know, like sales guys within your network, like, hey, who's making the amount of money that I want to be making, and what offer are they on? Because if this guy's already doing it, that means it's possible. That doesn't mean I'm going to make it, but at least we know it's possible, right? So something proven. So you want to identify that. If you don't know, then you want to list out like a Dream 100 list. Hey, what are the different businesses that I want to sell for, right? That I strongly believe in. Their stuff looks awesome, and it seems like those guys are making good money. They have to be, or their price point or whatever, right? You list out those people, and then you start reaching out to whoever is in that company, right? You can go into LinkedIn, who's a sales manager, who's the whatever, right? Or just like go to their website and like start messaging those people, just pester them, right? On their social media, or you can ask posts, so on and so forth. So after you do that, you start reaching out to them, okay? What you say is you want to, it's just like an offer on a sales call, offer to those people. So you want to make it harder for them to reject and easier for you to accept. And how you do that is by...
Is that how you got on sales? Because I started doing that with a few different offers, and I actually realized that a lot of these offers, some of their sales reps for some of the biggest companies are making fuck all money, like realistically.
No. I mean, the thing with the, for example, it's those guys are the best sales team in the industry, I feel like. But it's not the easiest way to make like really good money. Like if you want to make like, depending on what your goal is, right? If you want to be the best at sales, that would be the company. But if you just want to like make money easy, then that wouldn't be the company, because you have to hustle for it, right? And then a lot of people are broke, and then they don't do a lot of qualification. They don't do this qualification, right? So you talk to a lot of broke people, because like if you want to make a lot of money, you'd be better off selling like a hot financial, like a trading crypto thing, and then it's crazy guarantees, and then the offer is so good and the marketing is so dialed in, and they DQ everyone, right? So you identify that. After that, how I got into 7th level, how I did it was my first company, it wasn't the best offer, it wasn't the worst offer, it was an okay offer. And I started to build my track record there. And then I started, I wasn't intentionally trying to do this, but I was posting my progress and my results in big Facebook groups. The sales
I did that at the
Facebook
beginning, and I got some traction, but then the offer went down, and I think I lost just conviction in what I was selling, to be honest. So then I just stopped posting. But
yeah, so I was doing that, and then after that, what happened was I got reached out by Matt, who was the CEO of Sales Sniper and 7th Level. It's like, hey, do you want to sell for a Sales Sniper account? I said yes, and I started getting on that account. I became the #1 guy, and then that marketing went to shit, and then they brought me into 7th Level. That's kind of how it happened, right? If you go to offer acquisition part, and then I made this one post. I'll say go through this if you haven't yet. Because here I go over that, because the #1 is that if you're so good and then your numbers are the talking, then you don't need to sell yourself. Because I made one post that, hey, I'm going to sell part-time. And then I got, I think, 30 DMs. Not all of them are good, obviously, but some were solid.
I got the data, but because lead flow has been so low right now, for example, it sounds stupid, but last August was unreal, and that was the peak, and then it feels since August it's just been gradually getting worse.
Yeah.
Not in my skill set. My skill set's kind of stayed the same, really, which is depressing in itself.
This is a situation, right? So let me just finish this so you get a better understanding. So after that, so you can just start messaging those people. You just want to be getting to the point. No big paragraphs. No one likes to, whenever I get a big paragraph, I'm not reading it, right? Or a voice note. Be concise. Hey man, and then this doesn't have to be the first message, but this is the offer, right? Hey, would you be totally against doing a mock call where you can see my skills? And if you think it's garbage, you can just block me after. And you can just reward it, but I like to do a polarizing statement because they're probably not going to block you, right? But okay, let's see what you got. And then on that call, you fucking crush it. That's how I got on. I started selling for a really big marketing influencer in the space. Funny enough, he's also in the SMMA space. It was for his other company, but I got on a call with his sales manager, and then I did a mock call, and he said that was one of the best role plays he's seen, and he offered me a job on the spot. So that's one. If not, they'll be like, when can you start? They'll ask me that. Now, if they give you objections on the interview, then it's just the objection your prospects give. So if they say yeah, great, so we have other candidates we're interviewing, so we'll let you know a few days later. I never got this, but if I were, I would never get off the call until I actually get the job. That's what I would do. I'll just never take no for an answer. So just like a sales call, you don't end the call after a bit of resistance, right? So you want to isolate the real concern. Yeah, what's, is there anything in particular holding you back from feeling I can do the job? And then
I love that question.
Yeah, for sure. And then if they keep saying yeah, man, we got other candidates, we'll let you know. And what I like to do is this, right? Hey, what did the last sales guy do when you told him that you'll get back to him? It's well, he just didn't do anything. Right. So would you want a salesperson that'll just give up after a bit of rejection from the prospect? They'd be no. So why would you want me to not try to overcome your objection? They'd be I don't know. So you want killer salespeople who are persistent in overcoming your prospect's objections, don't you? They'd be yeah. So why would you settle for any salesperson that's just going to give up after a bit of resistance? So kind of say it in the cheeky, kind of swagger manner. Yeah. That's what they're oh, this motherfucker. All right. This guy's different. And also, you make an offer to them that's easier for them to accept, harder to reject. I strongly believe that starting from the bottom at a really established good company with a lot of potential growth is a lot better than being the only closer at a 30K a month, 50K a month, right? Or low 7 figures. Because you can work your way up, right? You have more opportunities. So it's just not sexy by starting from the bottom. Hey, do you have any lead lists that's not being contacted? Every business has those. Okay, I will dial those leads and close them. You don't even need to spend any money on book calls for me to start. Once I close X amount of sales from that list, would it be totally ridiculous for the business to start giving me book calls so I can bring in more revenue for the business? So here's the thing that most closers don't realize. It costs the business money to get book calls onto the closer's calendar. It's about $250 to $500 per book call. So if you have 8 calls a day, we can do the math, right? 1.6K to 4K a day. If the closure doesn't perform, business is literally burning money. And then if they leave, what the fuck is that? So that's what those people are afraid of. So we just plug that in. And what do they want? They want a closure that's going to stay longer and then close deals and bring in revenue for the business. If it's a sales manager, it makes them look good. If it's a business owner, they just make a lot of money. So you just plug that in.
With Jordan's, I know there's a tapped potential there with the offer that I'm currently on. It's just I can't find that potential. Like I just know there is, because we have such social proof. We're getting slowly trickling leads in regards to people wanting the 98K offer, but that 98K offer, I know I could have. I sold it on Tuesday, and on Tuesday, and I know I could have probably sold it for like 14K. So it's just like there's so many levers there that I just don't even know what to pull at this point. So yeah.
Yeah. So go to the no-show SOP section in the activity, and then like actually map it out, right? So instead of just focusing on the problem, map it out, write it out. Hey, what can I do? How can I make this work?
Yeah.
And then reverse engineer. And if you need help, post in the community, I can help you out too, right? And tag me. But okay, where am I right now? What's my commission goal? What's the biggest constraint? Because you can't work on all things at once. What's the biggest constraint? Oh, not enough sales calls on the calendar. Oh, I'm losing the most sales to think about objections. Oh, I'm losing from having the low show up rate. Identify that. What do I got to do? Go to the classroom section. If you don't know, tag me and I'll point you in the right direction.
So with the cost of inaction question, how can you get a cost of inaction question to hit? And then how can you go from that into the close?
How you do that is it starts from the start of the call. Because when you say it's not hitting, like what do you mean? What does it sound like? What does it look like?
Well, I can get it to hit. I can definitely get people to explain to me what happens if they don't do something about it now, and if they let the problem go on for XYZ amount of time. But how do you then go for that into the close, and then what happens if you're asking them about the consequence and they're just not, I don't know, opening up?
Okay, how are you asking it?
I'm going on the pain point a bit.
Okay.
If you let this go on,
ask it exactly how you ask it in your sales conversations. Like, let's role play with me right now. Ask it exactly. Don't change it.
Yeah. So I'd be like, all right, well, what happens if you let that go on for the next 6-12 months?
Yeah, if you get that, this is a good thing, because it makes sense now that you're getting them not opening up. Because number one, I don't know if it's because of role play, but it's not that specific on what that exact problem was. Second thing is your tonality is very flat. Therefore, they have no reason to tell you what's actually going on. So whenever you have an emotional question like that, you do need to sound concerned. So how you'd ask that, so you insert. Basically, the question is, what happens if your worst nightmare becomes true? That's essentially what it is. Okay. So you just insert the specific problem that they told you, or if they never achieve their dream desired outcome. Whatever a stronger driver is, you insert that. So what happens if you don't do anything and your electricity bill keeps hiking up, and then you're not able to retire with you and your wife? What happens then?
Because I had this one guy today, and he was telling me, oh, when I retire, I don't want to have to worry about the energy bills anymore. So I didn't slow it down, but I did kind of tie it in, and I was like, well, what happens if you do retire and your energy bill goes up and you're forced to pay the increased rates? So and a bit emotional, but I think after that, I just lost him a bit. But anyway, it's just a random.
But you got to realize it's not just what happens there as well. It could have happened a lot before, because you got to find out what the actual. That's the thing. It's not just one thing that makes the cost of an action hit. It's just everything before that, right? What's the desired overarching outcome? What's the problem? And then in future pacing goals, you got to draw it out and get them emotional. That's what makes it hit.
Yeah, I think Okay. Yeah, man, that makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna drill the questions and the sub communication in the meantime.
100%.
How do you handle vague prospects? How to deal with different objections? Getting a questions answered. It's just one part of what we go over in Real Sales System, our sales training community. We also go over how to close deals from follow-ups. How do you close deals during your no-show time and empty space on your calendar? How do you turn one sale into 2 sales into 3 sales with upsells, renewal, and referrals? What do you say? How do you do it? How often do you do it? That's what we go over. So if you want to see more of that, go to the first link in the description box below. You'll get a demo of Real Sales System. And if you feel like it fits for you, I'll see you inside.